How's it going, beautiful people? And welcome to our very first episode of SOTI TV, your deep dive into trends, technology, and innovation. I'm your host, Mario, and joined by my partner in crime, Mikhail.
Thanks so much, Mario. Very excited to be kicking this off for our very first inaugural episode. And, we're so surrounded by technology every single day. It's all around us. And, sometimes we're even interacting with it when we don't even know it. And I'm very excited to be able to take our viewers on a journey, to be able to really understand how are organizations managing this day to day, what happens behind the scenes, and to really understand how does it help impact the customer experience at the end of the day. And for our very first episode, we have a very special guest speaker for you, a true pioneer in this industry. So I'm very happy to announce that joining us today, we have SOTI's president and CEO, Carl Rodrigues.
Thanks, Mikhail. I'm really excited to be here on this inaugural episode with a couple of pioneers. So I'm hoping that I'll learn something from you guys too.
Well, Carl, listen, I think between me and Mario, we have about 25 years of experience.
Wow.
And, some people would say that's a lifetime in mobile years. But I got to tell you, I think you have us eclipsed with, really being at the forefront of how these technologies have come together. So it's very exciting to be able to pick your brain about it today.
Yeah, in those early days, we've really come a long way. Back then, the operating systems of the day were like Windows CE, Windows Mobile, and then there was Windows Phone for a while. I think it lasted
short while.
Yeah, I think it lasted about a weekend.
Yeah,
about that.
So Microsoft didn't do well with Windows Phone, and then along came Android, and then eventually iOS. So we've come a long way in terms of these operating systems, and even the operating systems really they developed a lot from those early flavors.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I remember seeing for the very first time, I think it was an iPack at that time, and I saw somebody using it on the subway, and I thought it was revolutionary. I was like, it's a computer in their hand. They have a stylus. So even seeing that, it was just so exciting to see that, and those were really the early days.
When I look at an iPack, the compact iPack, that silver one with the red writing on the top, I still look at that device, and it still looks pretty cool to me. It looks, it actually doesn't really look old.
No,
right? It had a really sleek design, but those devices they're pretty limited in terms of their hardware capabilities.
Yeah.
For example, they had no stable storage, so if you loaded a bunch of apps and a bunch of data, if you forgot to charge it, that battery would die and all your data would be gone. But we've come a long way. Of course, we have stable storage now. But these devices, they have, sometimes even up to 10 different radios. Those guys, the early devices, the compact iPack, it didn't actually have a radio. But eventually the phone, the feature phone, and these PDAs, they came together and we, what became known as a smartphone. And this I was just thinking about it. We don't even think about it, but these devices, just radios, right? They have GPS radios. They have NFC, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, cellular, infrared, etc. Right? So and they have tons of sensors, accelerometers, things like that. So really, we've come a long way in terms of the whole ecosystems, even the networks,
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And when we look at the adoption of this modern hardware, I think also it's really interesting to see that with the addition of all these sensors and with the addition of these additional radios, these devices are now so much more capable of doing so much more. And organizations are really starting to adopt that to really enhance the customer experience at the end of the day, which is amazing to see that level of growth.
Yeah, so they've come a long way. And when we look at the devices, what's happened is not just the device, the whole ecosystem, right? So these early networks, they didn't really have very high speed. So now we have 5G plus. The network's also much more robust.
They're talking about 6G already.
Right. The processors on these devices, right? They're now multi-core. One of these things actually does more than if you took a supercomputer of the 70s, right? These things have more horsepower. So the tool set we use to develop, Android Studio, these sort of modern tool sets to develop on, these have come a long way. So we're getting AI, machine learning. So the raw capabilities and what you can actually use these devices have really come, a long way.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been a very, very exciting journey. And Mario, you work quite extensively with a lot of enterprise customers. And I think one of the areas that I really want to explore is not just kind of all the extended capabilities of these devices, but the form factors that we're now seeing being developed.
Yeah, the form factors have really changed, right? Because we're so used to like what Carl was mentioning before. You get a device physically in your hand, but now we're looking at things where there's a digital transformation age of getting information to you quicker, right? Tablets, digital displays. You're looking at digital whiteboards now, right? If you go to any restaurant today or any fast food joint, they got screens up there that they dynamically change at any point in time. So yeah, it really has changed over the years.
More and more folds coming out. First they came out with the first fold phone. Now they have a triple fold phone coming out. I got to say, at some point, I wonder for myself, like, is it for productivity or for aesthetics?
Well, what's actually happened, right? I mean, if you think about where mobile gets used today, right? And if you look at where mobile got used in the old days, it's related to all these form factors and all these other things, because there's literally a device for every purpose, right?
Right.
And no matter what business is, they can go out on the market and they can find something. They have devices that are very specific for retails. The kind of you'd see in your Home Depots and those sort of guys, where they can fire that laser and scan a barcode, way on the other side of the room. So now there, mobility has become, prevalent for what we at SOTI focus on is what we call mission critical mobility, right?
Yeah. And one of the things that I really want to dive into as well as these devices evolved and the capabilities evolved is the modern software stack that I think we have to look at in terms of managing those things.
Yeah. So if you think about the early MDMs, mobile device management solutions,
early 2000s,
back then,
seems like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, they could do very few things. They could do just a few things. You can push out software data. In fact, when I started in the game, they would actually image the whole device. They'd push out a whole image. So forget about just updating an app, right? You'd image the whole device, right? And so, but then they evolved from there to say, hey, let's just push out whatever is changed, right? That file is changed. Let's like push out that file, push out that app, what with that capability to really do all these things. These early mobile devices, they also could do some lightweight support, like just maybe remote control. They could lock the device down, but I would say it was pretty much limited to that very limited feature set. And then as they evolved, they got integration with back-end systems, like for authentication and things like that with Active Directory and those sort of things. But the modern EMMs, modern MDMs, I mean, these guys can do a heck of a lot more than early.
Agreed, definitely.
Yeah, and I mean, when we talked about the move to EMM, kind of the UEM stack with the 2010s and onwards, and one of the things I want to throw out to both of you is, this concept of BYOD, right? It kind of came about, and organizations started to adopt it. You kind of mitigate the hardware costs, but I got to ask both of you, like, what's your take on it? Do you think that's a long-term strategy? How did it evolve? I'd love to get your thoughts on it.
So, where we focused on, SOTI, right? So BYD is prevalent out there, and it's has its purposes. But when we talk about where we focus on is when the mobility is mission critical to the business, right? And what do I mean by that? It means if the device doesn't work, the business stops. So what are some examples? So let's take airlines, for example, right? So if you were to fly on an airline, you're going to walk into the airport, they're going to scan your boarding pass. So you need one device, a kind of device for that. Then you're going to go, check in your luggage. So they put the tag. That tag is going to get scanned 100 different places before it arrives at the destination.
Hopefully, if it arrives.
Hopefully. But that's another set of mobile devices. You get in flight, you buy something, from the flight attendant. She's got or he's got a device to really process that payment of your card. You go, the pilot has a tablet that's got all the in-flight manuals and all that. But the point is, there's many devices that are used in that whole ecosystem, these and many more. And if these devices don't work, that airline can't fly, right? So it's mission critical. You could talk about public service as well, police, fire, ambulance.
Right.
All these guys, they have these devices, you know, in the police car, in the ambulance, etc. That if these devices don't work, you know, they can't do their job.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of emergency services and police vehicles, I think, Mario, you're no stranger to the back of a police car.
First of all, innocent until proven guilty otherwise. But truth be told, I've had an opportunity to work with some of our policing in region this past coming years, and what you really do see is the mobile data unit that sits smack in the middle of the vehicle. Without that, it is legitimately life or death. You don't know what you're about to approach. You need information. If you don't have information, imagine going into a dangerous situation. It is better to be more prepared going in than to not be prepared. And a lot of what I've heard is it is our lifeline. Without this, we can't function, period, right? So I agree with Carl when it comes to strategic mission critical mobility. BYOD has its places, but if you need that information right there and then, and you need it available at any point in time, and it is absolutely critical, I don't see it working in that use case.
Yeah, so there's systems actually, there's types of MDM and EMM that specifically deal with these mission critical situations, and that's actually where we play SOTI.
And I mean, you know, we're talking about mission critical mobility. We're helping our viewers really understand what mission critical mobility is. But I think one other key area is when these devices have to work, there has to be a platform behind it, and organizations have to make sure that they're considering very key factors when they're choosing a solution to manage these mission critical estates. And I think the capabilities of these solutions have really evolved over time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this I guess gets us to these modern EMM systems to manage these devices. So I think we have a bit of a demo here. Would you like to get into that?
Yeah. So Slow, if we can bring that up, I think it'll just help our viewers really understand what a modern management system looks like. So,
okay. When we talk about these modern EMM systems, they have really a lot more capabilities, and one of them is to visualize, you know, what's happening. So here, example, we have SOTI X-Lite, which is one of our products. And so in this case, we have a delivery company. They're delivering beer. I know you guys.
I like beer.
I love beer.
So this is these are a bunch of their trucks. They're moving around the city. So I can see these trucks as they move around the city, and the colors of these icons really represent their states, right? So if I were to click on one of these devices, you know, I can begin to understand what's going on with that device. So let me find one of these. Let me click on this guy here, and you know, so I can see really what's going on with this device. Now, for example, right off the bat, I can see that this device here, this guy here, he's 3 minutes ahead of schedule on his deliveries, and he's going 73 kilometers an hour. So that's a real-time value that's pulled off this truck. So for example, if maybe this said, you know, minus 15 and 180 kilometers an hour, you know, I'd be able to surmise from that, okay, our truck driver, he's speeding because he's worried about his deliveries, right? So you can correlate data across time, and you know, all of this, it becomes completely configurable. So if I move down here, you can see I'm actually tracking, for example, the inventory of the products he's got. So you can see in this case, you know, he's carrying pours, and he's got 65 cases and all that. This can actually pull data off the apps on the devices. Yeah. So it integrates, and I can see the history. So if I looked at pours, for example, you know, I can, let's look at something else here. Let me, I want to show you a nice, easy example. But okay, fine. So what I can see is what happened here. You know, our driver has this many cases. I'm just looking at the cases of Heineken on the truck, right? I can see he's got 35 cases right now, you know, but maybe he went somewhere early on and he picked up a bunch of cases, and his inventory went up to over 90, and then he made this delivery. So you can actually see over time, you know, what our driver has done.
So I'm looking at this, and I gotta say, Carl, this looks like a time machine.
Yeah, so it's tracking what's going on with happened with this device.
Yeah.
So it's pulling data directly from the device, but actually we are actually integrating with their business app and pulling other data. So obviously we wouldn't know what's going on with their business app, which is keeping track of the inventory in the truck. But so this is all customizable, right?
Looking at like operational data, it looks like outside of just device data.
Yeah. So because this might look like a custom app, where just for the beer industry, but it's actually completely customized. This actually applies to any industry, right? So with this kind of tool set, you can integrate with the business apps on the device, pull the data, and then you can track all this in real time. So some of the values actually are coming right from our systems, right? So for example, the location, the signal, the speed, that's from us. And the other values, we're just tapping into the business app. So this is very customizable. But you said time machine, right? So one of the problems that someone might have is, and I just want to show you where these tools and how they can help and what sort of new things they can do from traditional systems is, what if someone were to call in at a certain time and say, hey, at, 12 o'clock, for example, I had a problem, right? And, in these traditional systems, you'd say, okay, well, device seems fine now. What am I going to do, right? But with this kind of system, I can go back in time, a time machine.
You keep pioneering.
If I can take this needle back to 12 o'clock, so here we go. So we're dragging back to 12 o'clock. Okay, it's a bit of a lag. Okay, there we go. So I don't know if you noticed, but everything here updated so I can see what happened at 12 o'clock. And if I look here at 12 o'clock, our truck, for example, it was speeding. The guy's going 120 kilometers.
Maybe that's why he's 7 minutes ahead on deliveries.
So if I want to troubleshoot, someone called in and he said there's a problem at a certain time, it's literally a time machine. I can go back in time and I can look at everything that was going on this truck. So I can look at, for example, his inventory of Heineken or his inventory of something else, anything at that time. And I can troubleshoot, well, what was going on at that time, right? And so literally it's a time machine. You can go back in time and you can look. And this is one of the capabilities of these modern systems.
Yeah, and I mean, Mario, I got to tell you, me and you spent a lot of time in support. And I got to tell you, how many times do we get that call after the fact and we're trying to figure out what happened an hour ago? What happened 2 hours ago?
All the time, where you pick up a phone call and you're sitting there for 15, 20 minutes trying to diagnose an issue that had happened 2 to 3 hours ago. It was almost impossible because at that point there was no relevant information. Now, working with SOTI X, you can actually divulge and look deeper into what's happened in the past, right? Like for example, I get calls all the time. Hey, my device keeps dropping off the Wi-Fi network. What's going on, right? Just because I have good signal strength doesn't mean that I have good communication. It's kind of like a relationship if you think about it.
Yeah. Relationship.
Gotta have both.
you gotta have both, right? How do you track that today?
Yeah.
Carl, you even showed kind of here.
Well, let's actually track a relationship. No, but
roadmap feature.
Interesting analogy. Yeah. So you can go back in time and you can track whatever you want.
We're looking at devices right here that are out driving around. They're out in the field. But so many of the customers have Wi-Fi only devices or devices within the four walls. So, can we show our viewers a little bit about, what happens within the four walls? How can we use technology like this to help those operations?
Yeah, so this is mapping. So where we have mapping data, we can actually bring those devices and we can show them on a map and you can visualize them.
Yeah.
But you can also visualize devices, for example, if their indoor or location data is not available. So I can flip my map, I can flip my view and show me a list of my devices. So now I'm doing the same thing. I'm tracking my devices. I can see the state of the devices. I can look at the icons. But if I want to look at a particular device and I want to see what was going on, I can just simply click on the device and I can look at what's going on. So in this case, I'm looking at the signal, signal strength, and those sort of things. So we have tools to visualize even when the devices are indoor, when this location information not available.
Yeah. And, when we even take it a step further and, Mario, a lot of the enterprise customers that we work with are saying, I want to locate my devices exactly on the shop floor. I want to be able to see this information from an indoor perspective. And I know there's some interesting things that we're able to do in regards to indoor location, actually.
Yeah. So what we've added into our product recently is the ability to track devices even when they're indoors inside the building. So let me show you. Now, we have here, I'm going to stop this. We have a bunch of views. So views are, you configure these to look at a certain set of devices, a certain scenario.
Right.
And you can customize what values even you want to look at in the view.
I love that because that gives organizations the flexibility to meet various KPIs, metrics that are relevant to them based on what the devices are being used for.
Yeah, sure. So let's look at another view. So let's look at this guy, and let's start this guy up, and that guy off. So I have a device here. So let's move the map over a bit. Right. So I have a location. So you can see on this map, these blue things are locations we've set up. So these are indoor locations. So let's actually, go into one of these locations.
Looks like our HQ office.
Yeah. So this is one of the floors in our HQ, and we can see there's devices, and these devices are available here. So I can see these devices are in these locations, and I can tap on a device, and I can, just like before, I can look at data about this device, and I can look at the history, look at my time machine and everything, and I can so now, and you might say, well, how do we know where these devices are?
Mm-hmm.
So what we do is we integrate with the infrastructure that's available, the Wi-Fi infrastructure. So we support, for example, Cisco Spaces, Cisco Meraki, Juniper Networks, Extreme Networks.
Extreme Networks is about to say that.
Some big players in the game.
Yeah, so all the key brands are supported, and now you can do exactly what you did before, but you can do it indoor, and you can go between indoor and outdoor really easily.
No, I love that because I think, when we look at the variety of devices that are being used, I think organizations need these tools today to really be able to get complete visibility over their operations, right? It's something that's become table stakes.
Yeah,
I'd agree.
So this could be like a retail store, and you can see where your customers are. They can see, hey, I got a special here, but I don't have traffic in that area of this special, right? So they can have these nice visualization tools, and they can, if they have their people on the floor, they can click in and see what people are doing and those sort of things.
Right.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting to me is we've talked a lot about gating visibility into there, being able to visualize their operations and be able to identify areas where, a device might be falling behind on their deliveries and things like that. Well, what do we have to actually be able to take care of those issues? What are we able to provide organizations to actually resolve those issues as they happen?
Yeah, so we have all these tools in a modern system really need to be well integrated, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so you can see at the bottom here, I got a couple of icons. I can click this button if I wanted to start a chat with that device, talk to that person. So I can do that. So I can have audio chat, video chat, text, all those sort of things.
Using the existing hardware that's on the devices already.
Existing hardware. And that's could be really useful if it's not a cellular device.
Yeah,
right?
I was about to say the same thing. If it's on a Wi-Fi and you don't have a cellular plan, normally what you're going to get stuck with is you can't text or speak.
How do you talk to that guy in the warehouse, right?
That solves that.
So now, right over Wi-Fi, you could have that video chat and you could talk to that person, in your warehouse, working behind the scenes on the shop floor, etc. But if there's a problem, you can just do a remote control session, and now we're going to remote into that device, and I can see what's going on with that device.
And remote control is really interesting to me, but we've seen remote control, for many, many years. And as we chatted a little bit about earlier, it was kind of really part of the traditional tool set. So help us understand, how has it evolved? Like, where are we today that is really bringing a different flavor of it in the modern era?
Yeah. So when I brought this up, it's important to know these little subtleties, right? There. So the even remote control has evolved a lot, right? So if you notice, when I tapped on that device, literally probably in less than a second or so, the RC came up, the remote control came up, right?
It's instantaneous.
And this is important because sometimes you have a customer and a customer's calling you because something's not working. So you got a rattled customer on the phone, and you need to really bring this device up, as fast as possible. And some of the systems, you'll hit that, and now you'll have to make small talk for the next 2 minutes while that remote control comes up. So it's very,
or it's a very quiet 2 minutes of silence, which I think can get pretty uncomfortable.
It feels like 3 hours.
Feels like a lifetime.
It's the quality of service matters, right?
Yeah.
And so you want to really alleviate that customer's problems as soon as possible. So so just a simple thing as the remote control coming up really fast is really important. But when this device came up, it's not just the screen, it's the full device.
Yeah.
So I'm actually virtualizing that device that's sitting in the hands of that person in the store, in the warehouse, wherever. And everything here is functional, right? I mean, it's not just like a screen and a picture, right? So I can use this device exactly as a real device. So if I had to, let's bring up our phone here, and I don't know, let's speed dial. I don't know. Let's type in some stuff here. So, but you can see I'm using that keyboard exactly as it's.
You're right in front of the device.
Yep.
I can even access the buttons here. So let's see here. So I'm accessing our volume. I'm raising the volume, or I have a fully functional device. So this is not just the picture. It's completely functional.
And I got to ask you, I mean, Mario, both me and you have used this capability extensively over the last decade, but what really drove you to have this whole concept of, a device skin? Like what was the drive from the industry for having things like this?
Well, a lot of times there's this functionality that's available through the body. There might be a special function key that's needed by the app. So I'm remoting into somebody's app in the field, and they're saying, hey, when I hit this function key, something happens, right? So I need to duplicate that, and if I'm trying to remote and test it, I need to be able to hit that key. I need to duplicate exactly what that person in the field is doing. Yeah. And the only way I can really do it is by having the full set of hardware available. So when we when we kind of deal with these devices, we have a team that works on actually putting together these skins and making testing and making sure for every model out there, the whole device, the whole body of it, everything works, properly.
If you think about it, those keys are completely customizable, right?
Yeah.
And if one company has it working one way, another one may not. They may want to change a couple of those keys on there. The only way for us to be able to visually see those changes is to be able to map it, right? And SOTI has a capability of changing that mapping, which is really important to understand.
Yeah.
Right?
And I gotta say though, it's features like this that I think we talked about mission critical mobility earlier.
Yeah.
This is what organizations need to truly take control of their devices in these downtime scenarios, right? So it's amazing to be able to see that.
Yeah, but we talk about remote control. So while remote control has become more powerful and more refined, any of the modern EMM systems, they have many other features in their, I would say, that diagnostics tool set. So this is not remote control. We have a whole wad of other tools that are available here. For example, I can go and I can click here and I can access what's called a device snapshot. So let me close out of there. It allows you to take literally an MRI of the device, right? So what does that mean? So I can a device is having a problem right now. It's in a special state because it's having a problem. So I can literally go to the device and really grab a snapshot of, let's say, the health of the patient now, right? All those, what are 1,000 different values that define its state. And I can copy that little database and I can add it to my ticket. So now later on, if the help desk guy goes to that developer and he says, well, what was the CPU running at that time, or what signal strength? Those million questions that the developer would ask, it's captured in that database. So you captured the state of the device at that exact point in time when the device was not behaving properly. If you go back to the device now, maybe the guy rebooted it.
And it works.
And it's working perfectly, right? So it's important to capture the state so that we can actually resolve problems. Otherwise, you have to wait till the device gets back into that state, and hopefully you can find the developer. It's a big problem. So tools like what we call device snapshot or device MRI, integrated tool set. I can of course go and look at the file system of the device. I can download diagnostic files. So What does that mean? I can pull log files off the device. I can, all those sort of things like ADB logs and things like
Which
that.
Which typically you would have to get manually, right? Like you'd have to be in front of the device, plug it in to get those things.
Yeah, so now one click, I can grab them, I can add it to my ticket, so my developer can see the MRI, you can see the diagnostic files. These are just time-saving things, and you don't want to then the developer ask a question, you want to go back to the help desk guy who has to find the device and it might not be in the state. You want to capture everything up front one time. So our developers, our tech guys can just do the analysis, say this is the problem, get it done.
I had to tell you, I think me and Mario are getting like PTSD from our support days of the 100+ questions we have to keep asking and thinking we're going to forget something.
Did you download the logs today? No, I got to get the user online. Did you download the logs today? Now you have the capacity to just click and download versus begging
Mario
for
just
them.
looks so much happier these days.
I genuinely am.
Okay, but we have more. So we have here our file manager. So we can go and look at the device. We can browse the file system. We can copy files. We can copy a file if it's a text file, edit it, and put it back on the device. So various sorts of tools to really deal with whatever the issues on the device. If I go here, we have a task manager. I can see what's running on the device. It may be there's a particular thing running on the device that is consuming too much memory or CPU. And for now, I can just kill that from here remotely. I can just kill that process, bring the device back into health, and then deal with the situation later on of, well, why was that running?
Make sure the employees back up and
I have
doing their job.
Things to remedy various problems. I could, if I look down here, I can grab a snapshot of the device. This is important. If there's a problem, an error, just grab a snapshot of the screen, drop it in the ticket.
They say a picture's worth 1,000 words.
Yeah, well, pictures work. Well, I can also take a video. So if you go down here, I can take a video. Why is the video worth
100,000?
100,000 million? I say 2 million.
2 million.
So why is that important? Because I can grab a recording of our end user using the device, using that app and saying, hey, I clicked here first and I clicked here. So you can hear the audio as the user is doing the set of actions to duplicate the problem, right? So you have that firsthand information. Quite often, the developer is going to say, well, tell me the sequence. Now you can have it exactly the sequence the end user does to replicate the problem, and he or she can look at it and solve the problems. Not only that, I have screen drawing, so I can draw on the screen. So why is that important, right? So I might have someone, I'm trying to communicate something with that person on the device. And to communicate, I might have to circle a button or something and to draw their attention. So for example, I might say to my person on the device, you need to pay attention. You need to pay attention to this area here, and I can draw some sort of box over here. As you can see, I'm not a very good drawer. So,
I'll call that a box.
I thought, they wouldn't take me as the graphics artist, so I said, okay, I'll become a CEO.
Good fallback. I don't think many people would argue with that.
Worked out well. So now I can, but the point is, what I drew on the screen here, I can see it at the help desk console, but it's literally drawn on top of the app on the device. So my device user sees that drawing on the screen, and he says, oh, you're talking about that information. So I have a good, I literally have a whiteboard on top of the device to really collaborate and communicate with that person. So there's really, a huge variety of tools to really. There's even you can have a full-on whiteboard. I can convert the whole device to a whiteboard
for collaboration. That's really awesome for different form factors, right? If you have a larger screen device, gives you even more ability to kind of collaborate on that area.
So when we talk about diagnostic tools, it's really truly become a full tool set to really not only understand what the problem is. So we showed you visualization tools, we showed you a complete remote control, we showed you faster response time to the device, drawing on the screen, whiteboard, audio video recording. So this is what's needed for this, what we call the modern mission critical mobility use case. So the whole diagnostic tool set as well has really come along in a big way.
I think what's interesting so far that we've shown things happening live. We've shown ways of being able to respond to those problems. And what a lot of the industry is calling for today, and you and I have had tons of discussions on this, is how do I look at my trends of my business? How do I look at how the performance overall of not only just my end users, but my devices are performing? How do I measure that, right? And I'd love for you to be able to kind of show us exactly how do we help our customers measure at an operational intelligence level?
Yeah, for that, we're going to pull up our
And I mean, Mario, I got
intelligence dashboard.
Yep.
So
let me grab that on there.
Yeah, so this is the operational intelligence side of SOTI Excite, right? And from here, we talked, before we visualize, we give you this real-time view. So you're looking over your business from the air, looking at what's going on the floor, on the map, etc. This is like, we give you another way. We're taking data and kind of averaging over time and letting you look at trends and what's happening, now, and from that predict even what's going to happen, hopefully avoid some problems. So we have a lot of dashboards here. So let's actually look. Let's flip over to our. So we're looking at our truckers. Let's look to our truckers profile, and let's look at everybody. One of the big things people are trying to look at is apps, right? Yes. How are they have a bunch of, the reason they have mobile devices
is because they have apps.
So let's look at what's going on with our mobile devices. So actually, I'm going to go to there's many dashboards here, so you can look at your data about what's happening in your business in different ways. So here you can see I have lots of ways just of looking at apps, right? I can look at app usage by shift, web apps, etc. I can, networking is a really big thing, right? Because if you're on a cellular network and the network's not performing well, you might want to do some analysis on a Wi-Fi network, etc. So you can look at data usage, cellular signal analysis, Wi-Fi signal, battery. If you lost your devices, last location, so you can find it. So many things. So let's actually go.
And Carl, I mean, as you're diving into this, I mean, I think what's interesting to me is, when we look at the top causes of mobile downtime, it is related to app, connectivity, or battery as the top three causes. And it looks like we're able to provide visibility to every one of those areas so organizations can actually do something about it and prevent that downtime.
Yeah, so you're right, Mikhail. Those are common areas, but with these dashboards, you can drill down and even look at many other types of problems. So let's have a quick look, right? So I'm going to go to our app usage dashboard, and so first of all, while that's loading up, I want to mention that these dashboards, you might think this is just a picture, right? And this is the way the state of the world is, right? But our dashboards here, they're live dashboards. They're interactive dashboards, right? You can use them to slice and dice the data however you want. So here we can see we have a whole bunch of devices here, right? So we have Zebra devices, we have Honeywell devices, Samsung devices, etc., right? So let's suppose I'm trying to study a particular problem, and let's say on our truckers, let's say they're all using Zebra devices, for example. So if I click here, I'm going to take our data and just isolate on our Zebra devices. So I don't know if you noticed, but all the charts updated to just focus on our Zebra devices. So if you look at it on the right-hand side, now it's only got my Zebra devices, my MC45s, TC75s, etc., right? So very quickly, I can isolate. Now, if I say, okay, I'm interested in Zebra devices, but I want to look at what sort of apps they're using on these devices, right? So to do that, I'm just going to scroll up, and here it's showing me the apps being used on our Zebra devices. When I'm looking at my apps here, I notice that hey, most of the time they're using our business app, our Rocket Beer app. We're in the beer business. That's
got to
awesome.
make those beer deliveries on time.
Yeah, keep it on time because I've seen Mikhail when he orders his beer, if it takes too long, man.
Oh.
You see the other Mikhail.
Yeah, you don't want to see that, Mikhail.
You don't want to see that Mikhail. So good news, good Mikhail is here today.
For now.
So we'll have to get him a beer really soon. Okay, but anyhow, so most of the time they're using our Rocket Beer app, which is awesome. But this is kind of an anomaly here. I see this quad breaker, which is which is some sort of game,
I think that's Mario's favorite game.
Quadbreaker.
Mickey has to be like the worst person on the
he's
planet.
like
Quadbreaker right now.
Yeah.
I swear I'm a good employee.
Okay. We'll see. We'll have to pull up Mario soon.
I feel like you're a little biased.
So this is just not remotely. So, okay, so I see there's a bit of a problem here that you know, our drivers, you know, using Zebra devices, the ones they seem to be spending a lot of time playing this game, right? So me as an IT guy, as a, you know, whose job is to really pump efficiency out of these devices, you know, that's a worrisome problem, right? So if I didn't have this kind of analysis tool, how would I know, right?
Well, you can always ask the employees how much time they're spending playing games on the device. I'm sure you'll get some honest answers.
And I've asked Mark many times, you know.
Keeps asking me, what do you do here?
And I've never heard him say anything about Quadbreaker. But anyhow, okay. So if I want to isolate and look at which employees are using Quadbreaker on my Zebra devices, I just have to click here, and it's going to drill down and do that further isolation. So now I'm going to be looking at the device, the Zebra devices, and on which people are using Quadbreaker. Now, for me to find out who those users are, you know, I just scroll at the bottom, and these are our top devices that are Zebra devices that are using Quadbreaker, right? So I can, and if I want to sort and find the biggest users, right? I sort here. Now it's going to sort, and it's ordering them in terms of the actually I got it the wrong way.
You know, while you're bringing that up, I think it's really interesting because in a few clicks, you were able to isolate exactly who was using Quadbreaker and, you know, who might not be as productive across your estate as you'd imagine, right?
I like to point out that my name wasn't on that list whatsoever.
Let's
not jump to conclusions just yet.
So
I'm pretty sure I'm not up there.
So we've ordered the devices based on our biggest users to our lowest users, right?
Yeah.
So we can see Marjorie, Lily, whoever she is.
That don't sound like Mario.
She's our top user, right? And let's see, can we find Mario here? No, Mario's not here. No, he's probably in the second. He's for sure in the
he's
second,
somewhere on that list.
The second page. So very quickly, we've identified something.
Yeah.
And now, as a business, you know, we can go and we can talk to our end users and we can see what the issue is, right? So maybe we have to have a chat with these people, or maybe there's some other reason why you know, they're spending a lot of their time doing these things. So it's very quickly, with a bit of this kind of analysis, you can identify those problems. So it's about giving the company visibility in different ways. So one is visibility. You give them the visual, seeing where devices are, what they're doing. And now in this case, we're using data to give you visualization by doing this averaging, this consolidating of data over time.
And
I think the most important thing to capture from what you've just shown us is, with the modern tool set such as operational intelligence, we are holding everybody in the ecosystem accountable, right? From ourselves as app developers, to your individual end users, to your equipment manufacturers, to your operating system vendors, to your carriers. Each one of these play a crucial role in how your business operations, your mission critical mobility operates. And I think we've done a very good job of capturing exactly all those things combined, so you can measure out what is the actual issue at the end of the day.
Yeah, so you're talking about these different aspects, right? So this great experience that you give to your end customer, it really depends on a number of factors, right? So then you'll be able to look across that ecosystem to see where the problem is. So for example, you know, what if your end users are getting, you know, not the perfect experience, but it's because of the signal strength, right? So we could go, for example, I can go here and I could go pull up, you know, look at our cellular, and if our truckers, in this case, our truckers are on the road, so I can pull up cellular dashboards and I can look at that data again. So, you know, I can select Zebra again, isolate, but if I go down, you know, I can see a lot of these charts are really analyzing the signal. So it says the carrier signal strength, you know, who my carriers are, and I can drill down and actually look at various types of data, you know, and I can even go and look at a heat map of what's going on, with our network, you know, and I can identify problems. So, for example, in this area here, I can see I have the green signal is good. So let's actually open up our little legend here. So you can see green is good and red is bad. So I can see in this area, if I have to move my map a little bit, you can see I got a little bit of reddish signal happening there. So if I wanted to, I could zoom in. So I'm looking at a particular period in time now, right?
Yeah.
So I can change the time period. But if I zoom in there, I can see, well, where the heck is this red signal coming from? As I zoomed in, it's actually showing the points that are generating that signal, right?
So really going from top down to be able to see larger issues that could be happening potentially at a fleet or a network level down to an individual driver. Like, I mean, that's amazing.
So I can go, if someone's saying, hey, I was driving through this part of town and I was there around 12 o'clock on Tuesday and I was having a lot of problems, right? And the IT guy now can say, Tuesday at that time, what the heck was going on? I can't imagine. He says, let me just look at in that part of time, what's the signal strength, what's happening. So he goes here, you see the red, sees the reddish area, and then he zooms in to where our driver was, and he says, there's these red spots here, and he can then go even and tap on one of these spots, and he can say, what was going on? Well, the top part looks a little bit green, so that looks good, but was anybody getting red signal? There was red signal. Certain drivers were getting red signal in this area, and then I can tap in there, and I can get detailed analysis about what was going on. And if I had a lot of red signal in that area, I can take this data and I can go to my carrier and saying, hey, I'm paying you big bucks. Why am I having this issue?
And I mean, you've talked about, holding organizations accountable, holding the partner community accountable. And to me, it's really interesting because I've talked to a lot of carriers. I don't think they've ever told me they have bad coverage. I don't know if you guys had the same experience, but they tell me we're green across the board. But what's really interesting with this to me is that this is actually data coming from the device based on the radios that it has, based on the actual environmental variables that it's experiencing. And to me, as an example, great that we have 5G coverage. Right. What if my device isn't enabled for 5G, right? So it's really amazing to get this level of visibility.
I'd like to highlight the one thing you definitely said was environment. It's out in the environment. There's no restrictions. It's not in a perfect setup. It's not in a lab cage environment. It's in a live environment where a customer is impacted.
Yeah, and you can look at this data in many ways. I could actually drop down here, and I can look at the data by the network type. What sort of networks were my people getting in this area? And again, you can tap in there and get all kinds of data about what was going on in the particular spot. So you can filter on the map. Your heat map can be based on different types of criteria. So you can look at, for example, signal to noise. What sort of noise are you getting? Dirty signal in a particular area. So again, powerful tools to visualize and to deal with. You talked about that stack of things that determine, a great experience. It could be CPU on the device. It could be low memory on the device. It could be they're playing quad breaker. I just happen to be thinking Mario. It could be the signal strength. What was happening at that particular point in time. It could be that some devices, because of the particular type of radio they have in the device, they experience bad signal in this area. But there's other devices who have a different type of device or different types of radio in the device. They experience great signal, and you can say, "Aha, wait, I have two models out there, right?
Right.
There's something strange about this model. How would you track these problems, before? And with the modern tool set, literally with a couple of clicks, you can get down and really solve these problems.
And I think the coolest thing about it is, and Carl, we were chatting about this earlier, is that once you turn it on, the data is being captured right away. There's no real administrative setup that you need to. Everything we showed you is being captured right away.
Yeah, so all this stuff, is automated. Obviously, from a collection point of view, our customers can customize to really, pull the type of data, they want to, and the type of analysis that they want to do. So everything is customizable. So you can, deal with the type of problems you're having. So for example, your device is on cellular, you can just collect the cellular data. You don't have to worry about collecting Wi-Fi data.
No, that's amazing. And, I really think for our viewers out here, a lot of time you don't know what you don't know, right? And by looking at solutions like this and seeing the evolution of the modern software management stack, I think it's features like these that are really going to become prevalent as organizations continue to grow and stay competitive.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is just a quick snapshot of really what these tools are capable. Like in this solution set, you can do tracking and all kinds of other kind of things that's available there.
I love that. Well, Carl, we'll get you to come to sit back down. So, when we go through this, and I think now we have a really good understanding where the traditional systems sit, where we're seeing modern management systems, and at the end of the day, to me, Carl, you've been in the industry for so many years, and you've really watched the evolution of these systems. But I got to say, I thought I knew a lot about the industry. Me and Mario, 25 years in the industry, almost like a lifetime. But I got to say, you opened my eyes to some really new concepts and thoughts that I didn't even think about. But Carl, I got to ask you, in summary, by living through all this, developing on these systems, and seeing all the customer requests comes in, what would be your summary statement for the evolution of all this over the years?
Well, it's we are fortunate enough that there's so many technologies that really have, if you like, developed, ripened, emerged, evolved over the years, that we kind of sit at the top of the ecosystem, if you like, right? So we get to leverage, the capabilities of the network.
Yeah.
We get to leverage the capability of the robustness, the speed of the networks. We get to leverage the raw form factor, so we can really do different things. The sensors on the devices, the various radios and devices, et cetera, and even the development tool sets, from Apple and Google and those sort of things, and Microsoft even for our server backend technology.
Maybe we'll see Windows Phone 2.0.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so it allows us to do some really, really cool things. But in the end, our customers benefit from these sort of technology, and I would say, if you have one of these modern kind of 21st century tool sets, then you can deliver better value to your end customers in mobility. And that's what the game is really. How do we deliver the best service to the end customer in whatever field they are? And we play in the strategic mobility field. So it's really important that our customers really have these kind of troubleshooting and diagnostics and really real-time kind of tools, so that they can bring that level of quality and service to their customers.
No, I love that, right? And I think, a lot of customers that we even speak to on a day-to-day basis, I still think when they think of MDM and EMM, they think of the traditional definition, right? But is that definition even still relevant or viable today with everything we've talked about, right? It doesn't seem like that traditional definition really hits the mark.
Yeah, there's these kind of modern analysis tools. There's modern prediction tools. We have AI, machine learning that's running in the background that's going to predict problems before they happen, and change that trajectory so you avoid those problems. So there are unfortunately some people who are using these first world type of solutions. But good news, there's great products on the market, that they can use and to really really develop a product, their end products that are really much more competitive in the marketplace, that deliver great service to their customers.
And Mario, I got to ask you, I mean, you're really at the forefront of this. You're traveling, you're visiting a lot of customers. What's your take on this? Are organizations needing this modern management stack to stay competitive and drive the operation efficiency that they're looking for?
Absolutely. There's now a need in the market today to bridge the gap between technology and the operations of a business. Simply put, in one sentence, if you don't know what your investment is doing, is it really an investment? If you're going to spend millions of dollars on technology, it's got to work. How do you know that? Using modern stacks today, you'll be able to identify that quite clearly and quickly too.
Well, I got to say, I think the definition and capabilities really of these modern systems has truly evolved, and it's no longer your typical traditional system from the 2000s. You need this modern management tool stack. I got to say, Carl, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for all the insights and really providing our viewers a blueprint for modern management systems and what organizations should be looking for.
Thank you for inviting me. I must say it's your first show, a lot of fun. So good to be with you guys, and good luck on all the upcoming exciting episodes.
Oh, we got a lot of things to dive into, that's for sure.
We do. And to add to that, if you need any further information and are interested in anything, you can look at the bottom. We have a couple of links available if you need anything from there. Also, Carl, before you take off, if anybody wanted to get in contact with you about anything that we discussed today or anything else, what's the best way to reach you?
So I'm on LinkedIn. By all means, reach out to me, send me a message, and I'll be happy to answer any question you have.
Awesome. Thank you, Carl. Now, if you found our content meaningful or helpful in any way, please do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button to make sure that you're staying in the know of all the latest and greatest information as the world of mobility continues to evolve.
We'd also like to hear from you. So if you have any ideas of other episodes or have any questions for us, use the comment section below and we'll be sure to get back to you.
And thank you for tuning into SOTI TV, and we'll see you next time.